The Universe in a Verse, a theological and philosophical analysis of Ramanuja's Mangala Shloka in the Sribhasyam by Sri Keshava Bhattacharya. Introduction. The Invocation as Philosophical Distillation. In the rich tradition of classical Indian philosophical texts, it is customary for a great work to begin with a Mangala Shloka, or an invocatory verse. Far from being a mere auspicious formality, these verses often serve as a profound and concise summary of the author's entire philosophical thesis. They are a distillation of the work's core principles presented before the argument unfolds in full. Ramanuja's magnum opus, the Sribhasyam, his monumental commentary on Badarayana's Brahma Sutras, begins with such a verse. This opening invocation is a masterclass in theological density and philosophical precision, encapsulating the vastness of his system in a single elegant stanza. The Mangala Shloka is as follows. Sanskrit. Akhila bhuvana janma sthema bhangadi lile vinatamividha bhutavrat rakshaika dikshe shruti shirasividdipte brahmani srinivase bhavatu mama parasmin shemushi bhakti rupa. English translation. Let devotion, which is of the nature of profound knowledge, arise in me towards the Supreme Brahman, Srinivasa, whose play is the creation, sustenance, and dissolution of all worlds, who has the singular vow of protecting the multitudes of diverse beings who surrender to him, and who is brilliantly illumined in the head of the Vedas, the Upanishads. This paper argues that the single verse is a deliberate and masterfully constructed condensation of the entire four-chapter structure of the Brahma Sutras and, by extension, the foundational tenets of Vishishta Advaita philosophy. It is not merely a prayer but a philosophical roadmap. To understand its architecture, we must first turn to the heart of the verse, its central prayer. The core prayer, a call for devotional knowledge, Bhakti Rupa Shemushi. To properly appreciate the depth of Ramanuja's invocation, it is strategically important to analyze the main clause of the verse first. The plea, Bhavatu mama parasmin shemushi bhakti rupa, let knowledge, in the form of devotion arise in me towards the Supreme, establishes the ultimate goal of the spiritual aspirant. Understanding this desired end state provides the necessary lens through which to interpret the specific qualifications of Brahman that precede it. The critical phrase here is Shemushi Bhakti Rupa, knowledge that is intrinsically devotional in its form. Ramanuja is not praying for jnana, knowledge, as a sterile intellectual exercise. Instead, he seeks a profound cognition that is saturated with love and devotion. This deliberately positions his preferred spiritual path, the Bhakti Marga, also known as the Vyakta Marga or Sakar Marga, as the supreme means to liberation. This stands in contrast to the Jnana Marga, described as the Avyakta Marga or the Neti Neti, not this path. This approach involves the systematic negation of all phenomenal reality to arrive at an understanding of the Absolute. For example, the aspirant asks, is this computer Paramatma? No, Neti. Is this phone Paramatma? No, Neti. One must proceed by negating all perceived objects. According to the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, which Ramanuja holds as authoritative, this path of abstract negation is exceedingly difficult and precarious for embodied beings. Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta saktachetasam. Ramanuja's emphasis on a knowledge that takes the form of bhakti is thus a philosophically grounded choice, favoring an accessible path centered on a qualified personal supreme being. Within the Vishishta Advaita tradition, this devotion is understood to exist in two distinct forms. Sadhana Bhakti, this is devotion as the means, sadhana, to attain the Supreme Lord. It is the practice of devotion undertaken by the aspirant in their journey towards liberation. Sadhya Bhakti. This is devotion as the end or goal itself. It is the state of constant loving communion experienced by the soul after it has attained the Lord. Ramanuja's prayer is a request for the sadhana bhakti that will ultimately lead to the sadhya bhakti. Having established the nature of the prayer, we can now turn to its object, the uniquely qualified Brahman to whom this devotional knowledge is directed. Dissecting the nature of Brahman, the fourfold qualification. In the rigorous tradition of Sanskrit scholasticism, qualifiers or visheshanam are never merely ornamental. Their philosophical function is governed by the principle Visheshananam Vyavartaktvam Prayojanam. The purpose of a qualifier is to distinguish. An adjective is used to separate a particular object from all others. For instance, if one asks a boy in a room with 6 books to bring the book, the instruction is ambiguous. But if one says, bring the book that has a red cover, the qualifier red cover effectively separates that one book from all others. In scholastic literature, Shastra, the use of a superfluous or unnecessary adjective is considered a serious fault, dosha. Ramanuja's choice of adjectives to describe Brahman is therefore a deliberate philosophical act, essential to defining the distinct nature of the Supreme Being in Vishishta Advaita and distinguishing it from other conceptions of the Absolute. The cosmic playwright, Brahman as the sole cause, Akhila Bhuvana Janma Sthema Bhangadi Leele. The first adjectival phrase establishes Brahman's relationship with the cosmos. It can be broken down into 3 key components: Akhila Bhuvana, all worlds encompassing countless universes, Janmasthema Banga, creation, sustenance and dissolution, and Leela, divine play. This phrase identifies Brahman as the sole source of all cosmic activity. The concept of Leela is central to this definition, as explained in the Brahma Sutras, Lokavattu Leela Kaivalyam. Cosmic creation is not an activity born of need or deficiency. Rather, it is a Swayam Prayojana Vyapara, a self-purposed activity undertaken as a form of divine recreation or sport, analogous to a child's spontaneous and joyful play. However, this concept carries even a deeper layer of meaning. As explained by great acharyas, Leela also signifies an activity whose ultimate purpose is incomprehensible to the embodied soul. We are unable to fully understand the why of creation until we reach the divine realm and attain direct perception of God. This single qualifier masterfully summarizes the entire argument of the first 2 chapters of the Brahma Sutras, the Samanvaya Adhyaya and the Avirodha Adhyaya. These 2 chapters, collectively known as the Siddha Kanda, are dedicated to establishing Brahman as the undisputed material and efficient cause of the universe, demonstrating this through scriptural harmony, Samanvaya, and defending it against all logical objections, Avirodha. Ramanuja thus condenses half of the Brahma Sutras into one elegant compound word.
The unfailing protector, Brahman and the path of surrender. Vinata Vividha Bhuta Vrata Rakshaika Dikshe. The second qualifier shifts the focus from cosmology to soteriology. Its components are Vinata, those who have bowed down or surrendered; Vividha Bhuta Vrata, the multitudes of diverse beings; and Rakshaika Dikshe, one who has taken a singular vow to protect. This phrase defines Brahman not just as the cosmic source, but as the ultimate refuge for all beings. The scope is universal, encompassing the entire spectrum of life: Sura, gods; Nara, humans; Tiryaka, animals; and Sthavara, immovables like plants. It affirms that any soul, in any form that turns to Brahman, will not be abandoned. This qualifier encapsulates the doctrine of Sharanagati, self-surrender or Prapatti, the central soteriological path in Vishishtadvaita. It points to a God whose primary resolve is to save those who seek refuge in Him. To understand the profound significance of this vow, one must first appreciate the spiritual problem it solves, poignantly articulated by Kulashekara Alvar in his Mukundamala. At the moment of death, prana prayana samaye, when one's throat is choked with phlegm, bile and air, how is the remembrance of you even possible? This question highlights the terror of the final moments where physical and mental faculties fail, making conscious remembrance of God seem impossible. The principle of Sharanagati, articulated in the Varaha Charama Shloka, provides the divine answer. The Lord vows that if a person sincerely performs surrender while their mind and body are sound, He guarantees that He will remember them at that final critical moment and grant them liberation even if they are incapacitated. This adjectival phrase maps directly onto the third and fourth chapters of the Brahma Sutras, the Sadhana Ghyaya and the Phala Adhyaya. These chapters, forming the Sadhya Kanda, detail the spiritual means of sadhana for attaining Brahman and the ultimate result of that attainment. By describing Brahman as the sworn protector of the surrendered, Ramanuja points directly to the path and the goal that the latter half of his commentary will explore. The supreme revelation, Brahman as known through scripture, Shruti Shirasi Vidipte. This third qualifier defines the valid means of knowing Brahman. Describing Brahman as Shruti Shirasi Vidipte, brilliantly illumined in the head of the Vedas, establishes that the ultimate authority for understanding the nature of the Supreme Being is scripture, Shruti, specifically the Upanishads, which are considered the head shiras of the Vedic corpus. This aligns with the Brahma Sutra Shastra Yonitvat, which states that Brahman is knowable only through the scriptures. Here, Ramanuja's holistic view of the Vedas becomes apparent. Unlike commentators such as Shankara, who may grant primary authority to the Upanishads, Ramanuja treats the entire Vedic corpus, Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishad as a single, coherent body of knowledge, Ekavakyaka. A powerful piece of evidence for this lies in their respective commentatorial styles. When citing a Vedic mantra about the sun, Shankara quotes only the relevant fragment as it appears in an Upanishad. Ramanuja, however, quotes the mantra in its full context from its origin in the Rig Veda, even naming the rishi who composed it, Kakshivan. This demonstrates his unyielding acceptance of the entire Samhita portion as fully authoritative. His commitment to this unified vision is further underscored by the fact that his first major philosophical work was the Vedartha Sangraha, summary of the Veda's meaning, not a Vedanta Sangraha, summary of the Vedanta's meaning. The abode of grace, Brahman as inseparable from Shri, Srinivase. The final qualifier Srinivase is theologically potent and carries multiple layers of meaning that complete the Vishishtadvaita portrait of Brahman. The abode of Shri, literally the name means the dwelling place of Shri, goddess Lakshmi. This establishes the eternal and inseparable connection between the Supreme Lord and his divine consort, who represents grace, compassion, and the role of mediatrix. God is never separate from his grace. The source of auspiciousness, Shri, also signifies Aishwarya, sovereignty, glory, prosperity. As Srinivasa, Brahman is the repository of all auspicious qualities and the source of all cosmic wealth and glory. The Lord of both the realms, Brahman is the master of both the eternal spiritual realm Nitya Vibhuti and the temporal material realm of play Leela Vibhuti. A personal appellation, the name is a direct reference to Lord Srinivas of Tirumala, the beloved deity form. This grounds the abstract philosophical concept of Brahman in a concrete worshipable form, bridging the gap between the ultimate principle and personal devotion. Grammatically, Srinivase can be interpreted either as the final adjective qualifying Brahmani or as the primary noun which Brahmani itself qualifies. The ability to shift this Uddeshya Vidheya Bhava subject-predicate relationship allows for different shades of meaning, highlighting a scholastic flexibility where the personal deity Srinivasa can be seen as the ultimate subject of the verse. Together, these four distinct qualifications, cosmic creator, sworn protector, scripturally revealed, and eternally united with grace, construct a complete and unique theological portrait of the Supreme Being. Synthesis. The shloka as a microcosm of Vishishtadvaita. Bringing together the preceding analysis, it becomes clear that Ramanuja's Mangala shloka in the Sribhasyam is a profound theological and philosophical treatise condensed in the space of a single verse. The systematic dissection of its core prayer, Bhakti Rupa Shamushi, and the fourfold qualifications of Brahman, Brahmani, demonstrates that the shloka is a deliberate and brilliant architectural blueprint. It not only establishes the essential attributes of the Supreme Being, but also lays out the entire structure of the Brahma Sutras as interpreted through the lens of Vishishtadvaita. The verse stands as an enduring testament to the power of scholastic condensation in Indian philosophy, serving simultaneously as a deep devotional prayer and an unparalleled summary of one of Vedanta's most significant philosophical systems.
Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo